Hey, it's Winning Cures Everything. It is championship week in college football. That's right. We got a lot of games to discuss. I say a lot. It's only 10 this week. We normally do 20. But let's not waste time. Let's get to it.
Can you believe it? It's football. I've been watching it for 40 years.
Are you kidding me?
You're listening to Winning Cures Everything.
Game day, baby. Wake up or get out.
Here's your host,
A confident young man, a superb athlete.
Gary Seegers.
Welcome in, Winning Cures Everything. It is the Thursday, November 30th edition of the show. That's right, it's almost December. I'm your host, Gary Seegers, and you can follow me on Instagram and TikTok at GaryWCE. I am on Twitter at Winning Cures. Hopefully you have all had a wonderful post-Thanksgiving week, and hopefully all of you won a lot of your bets last week. 6-2-1 on the BetUS College Football show for me last week was the BetUS Capper of the Week. It's been a long time since I won that. I won it 4 times last year. It's been a bit of a disaster for the most part this year. But either way, we've got a lot to discuss today. So we got to get to this thing, and we don't have a lot of time to do it. So we'll go on and dive in. But first, let me go on and tell you, like and subscribe. You guys know what to do. Subscribe to the channel, and make sure and like this video. Share it out with your friends. Tell everybody you know about it, all that kind of stuff. We would certainly appreciate it. Don't forget, make sure and subscribe to the BetUS College Football show on YouTube. There's a link in the description below. You can go find that as well. We would certainly appreciate that. Get those numbers up over there. But I'm going to be with you all through bowl season. The BetUS show is going to be with you all through bowl season. It's going to be a good time. December is always a good month for us here on the show. So don't forget, of course, 3 Dog Thursday. Every Thursday, 2 p.m. Central Time. Believe this is the last one until we get to the New Year's 6 games. So around December 28th, I think, is going to be the last one. So make sure and check out the 3 Dog Thursday show with TJ Reeves right here on this channel on Winning Cures Everything. If you want to support the show, you can become a member here at YouTube, or you can go over to buymeacoffee.com/winningcures, and you will get my projections, my last four, all that for all the games, all that kind of stuff. So you can get that over there, or if you just feel like supporting the show, you don't even have to get the projections if you don't want to, but you can do that right over there. Buymeacoffee.com/winningcures. If you want to know my actual plays, the ones that I feel the best about that I'm going to have my hard-earned cash on, you can follow me on Telegram. Go to your browser, type in t.me/GaryWCE, and that is the best way to do that. Okay, it is time. Let's get into it. We start with Conference USA. New Mexico State is headed to Liberty. This one is a home field game. Liberty is hosting the championship game. Liberty currently a 10.5-point favorite. The total, I don't know what the total is right now, as a matter of fact. We're not worried about totals, though. Liberty, 10.5-point favorite. It's Friday, 6 p.m. Central Time, God's time zone on CBS Sports Network. Let's pull up the numbers and see what we got. For the full season, I've got Liberty only favored by 8.4 here. My power rating has Liberty by 8.3. I mean, these numbers are just ridiculous. Liberty is number 1 in the country in predicted points added per pass, but they only throw it 31% of the time. They are number 3 in PPA per rush, and they run it nearly 70% of the time. What Jamie Chadwell runs is basically the triple option, right? Basically. But they're pretty good at throwing the ball, too. So they can attack you in a myriad of different ways. New Mexico State is just a covering machine. They are 10-3 straight up this season, and the last 2 weeks they have been banged up, and they have still won over Jacksonville State and at Auburn. They have done big-time things. Diego Pavia, of course, just an absolute workhorse. 10.5 feels like a lot of points, right? Points per game margin, Liberty big time on that one. Here's the issue is Liberty gives up backdoor covers frequently. The pace of play between these two, I'm curious who is going to control it. New Mexico State, number 125 in, and you don't see it there. Of course you don't. There we go. Number 125 in plays per game. And Liberty is number 27. Liberty likes to get up and go. New Mexico State, not so much. They want to play slower. I'm curious how they're going to do this. So let's flip it over. Let's look at the last 4 weeks so that we have a better idea. And in the last 4 weeks, I've got Liberty favored by 12.22. Yeah, there's a reason. I mean, they are really good. Number 1 in PPA margin. New Mexico State is number 26. Liberty number 1 in offensive success rate. New Mexico State is number 22. Now, New Mexico State's defense is better. Liberty won this game earlier this year, 33-17 back in week 2. It was not the same New Mexico State team, but this Liberty team has continued to get better as they have learned Jamie Chadwell's offense. I'm going to take Liberty at home. I think they're fired up for this one. Obviously, New Mexico State's going to be fired up too, but New Mexico State a little bit dinged up. I believe that Liberty is going to just outscore them. I think they've got more talent, more resources. I love Jerry Kill, and I also love Jamie Chadwell. I think that Jamie Chadwell is going to get the better of him here with that home field advantage. That crowd is going to be raucous. So I will take Liberty minus the 10.5. We move ahead, and same time, Friday night, or not same time, but same evening, Friday, 7 p.m. Central Time on ABC, Washington is a 9.5-point underdog to the Oregon Ducks. And let's look at the numbers. Full season, stats-wise, would have Oregon favored by 15.5. The power rating would have Oregon by 9.997 something, so basically 10 points. This is a lot of points, right? I mean, Washington is undefeated. They have beaten this Oregon team twice in the past 2 years. They won last year at Oregon as a 12-point dog, 37-34. They won this year as a 3-point favorite in Seattle. They won by 3, and the two have gone completely different directions since then. I mean, it's completely different. Washington, number 12 in PPA margin. Oregon is number 1. Oregon, number 13 in defensive PPA allowed per drive. That's predicted points added per drive. Washington on defense is number 70 in that regard. But let's take a look. This is the full season stats, right? So we'll pull up the full season numbers, and I'll even zoom in a little bit for you. These are the full season numbers. And there's a lot of things that certainly point Oregon's way. But let's take a look at the last 4 weeks. And we'll zoom in on that one as well. The last 4 weeks would have Oregon favored by 24.33. That is absolutely absurd. I mean, it's so many points. Washington, over the past 4 weeks, number 105 in predicted points added allowed per drive on defense. Washington is number 1 on offense, number 20 on defense. That's crazy. Washington's offense only number 23. Michael Penix has not looked right. There's all these things that go against Washington here. And yet, you look at the 5 factors, there's not a huge discrepancy over the past 4 weeks. Washington number 8, Oregon number 2. These two teams know what it takes to win ball games. I think it's going to be a tight game, tighter than this number. Even though the stats would tell you, hey, like Oregon, they have just been on another level. I don't think when you get into a situation like this with a head coach that's only in his second year, going against a guy like Kalen DeBoer, I'm going to go with the coaching. I think he's going to have some stuff drawn up. He's going to find ways for that team they are used to success, and they are used to beating this team. I'm going to take Washington plus the 9.5. I think they're going to find a way to stay in this ball game. I imagine Oregon wins, but I don't know that. Remember, Oregon was a 12-point favorite at home last year, so you never know what's going to happen there. All right. Now we move to Saturday. That's right. Moving on, and we are going to start with the Big 12. That's right. Texas and Oklahoma State. Texas a 15.5-point favorite. This one's in Dallas. 11 a.m. Central Time on ABC. The Big 12 title game has delivered the past 5 games in a row, whatever it is. It's always tight, always a good ball game. But now, Texas 15.5-point favorites. That's crazy. That is absolutely crazy. All right, we pull up the numbers here, and for the full season, it would have Texas favored by 19.43. Power rating would have Texas by 19.41. That's pretty crazy. I mean, it's just a lot of points, PPA margin for the season, Texas is number 24, Oklahoma State number 92. There's nothing really that Oklahoma State does all that well. I do find it interesting that Oklahoma State is number 94 in predicted points added per drive, but when you look at their success rate on defense, they're number 38. That's interesting to me. Texas's best unit is their defense. They are fantastic. They're number 7 in success rate against the run. They are awesome. Just awesome as far as that goes. You see all the green if you're watching on the screen. You see all the green on the defensive side for Texas. There's a reason for that. They got a fantastic defensive line. Absolutely fantastic. Let's pull up the full season numbers. Or sorry, the last 4 weeks numbers. Okay. It would have Texas by 17. Texas number 53 PPA margin, Oklahoma State number 114. Again, this is another one where it's coaching, right? Oklahoma State is 9-4 straight up against Texas in the last 13 games. Steve Sarkisian has not beaten Mike Gundy yet. He is going to have something drawn up here, and I have no idea what it is because they've not been able to run in the past month. They've just not been very good. Number 123 PPA per rush. Texas's defense is number 4. Where you can attack Texas is through the air. Is Alan Bowman good enough to create some big-time plays? They're number 52 in passing explosiveness. Texas's defense is number 62 in explosive play rate allowed against the pass. So you're going to have to throw the ball to get the safeties back out of the box, I think. And even then, you still might not be able to run on sweating those guys. So I just believe that Oklahoma State is going to have something figured out on this Texas team because I also feel like there's part of them that just kind of gets up for, some games and doesn't get up for other games. So it skews the numbers. And maybe that's the way it is with Texas too. Maybe they're going to show out and they're really going to put on some style points here. But I don't believe it. I don't believe it at all. Quinn Ewers with a lot of pressure. I don't think he plays all that well. So you look at havoc rate and whatnot for Oklahoma State. They're number 58. Texas is number 19 in havoc allowed. Texas not explosive in the passing game. There's just a lot. Texas also number 89 in points per scoring opportunity in the past 4 weeks, 3.41 points per scoring opportunity. They don't finish well, but neither does Oklahoma State. So I think this one's going to be a little bit tighter. 15.5 feels like a lot to me. Give me the rattlesnake. Give me Mike Gundy plus the 15.5 on that one. And that moves us to the MAC title game. Miami of Ohio and Toledo are facing off at Ford Field in Detroit for the MAC title game. This one's also 11 a.m. Central Time. This one's on ESPN. And Toledo right now, a 7.5-point favorite. Okay. Let's see what happens here. Let's see. Looking at the numbers, full season would have Toledo by 9.72. Power rating at the top there has Toledo minus 8.228. It's right around the number. Right around the number. Miami of Ohio, of course, without the quarterback, Brett Gabbert. He has been out for a month, basically. He was injured against Toledo, and it's been Avian Smith ever since. It's been a whole thing. Let's look at the last 4 weeks. Last 4 weeks numbers, and it would have Toledo by 9.29. Miami of Ohio's defense is legit, but their offense is number 113 on offense. That's not good. PPA per drive, excuse me. Toledo's numbers, they're number 8 in PPA margin. Miami of Ohio is number 28, but Chuck Martin's defense for the Red Hawks has been awesome. I mean, they are number 1 there. Toledo going to have trouble moving the ball on this defense. I firmly believe that. Moving over to the other side of the ball where Miami of Ohio is on offense, They are number 71 in PPA per pass, number 109 in PPA per rush. They are number 18 in rushing explosiveness, only 104 in passing explosiveness. But you look at the offensive explosiveness overall, they're number 33. They are number 1 in defensive explosiveness allowed over the past 4 weeks. They do not allow explosive plays. On the other side, Toledo, number 24 in explosiveness allowed, but they're number 3 in creating explosives on offense. So who is going to get the better of the other one? I think Miami of Ohio is going to be able to slow down Toledo's offense. The question is, can Toledo's defense slow down the explosive plays? Can they stop because I think all you're going to need is 1 or 2 from Miami of Ohio, and they'll be able to stay in this ballgame. If I had to go a certain direction on this one, I would roll with the Red Hawks plus the 7.5. I like the hook there, and I trust Chuck Martin more than I trust Jason Candle. Right? They haven't lost that game yet. Toledo is 11-1, but Miami of Ohio is 10-2. This is a good matchup. I'm going to take the Red Hawks plus the 7.5. I don't feel great about it, but that's the way that I would lean. I trust that defense more than I trust anything on Toledo. That's what I do. All right. Next up, the Mountain West Conference title game in the Boise State Broncos. Despite firing their coach 3 weeks ago, they are traveling to Las Vegas to take on UNLV. This is a home game for the Runnin' Rebels, and it's 2 p.m. Central Time on Fox. Boise, a 2.5-point favorite. And let's look at the numbers. I've got UNLV favored by 2.05 if you look at the full season numbers. My power rating has Boise by 3, which is interesting, right? Look, Boise is more talented. Like team strength, Boise number 50, UNLV number 87. Okay, but UNLV has faced a tougher strength of schedule. Okay. There's a lot of similarities between these two teams. UNLV is number 29 in net points per drive. Boise is number 42. You start looking at offense, defense, all that. This UNLV team, they can absolutely throw the football. They're okay at running. They're not great, but they are great at passing the ball just based on the full season numbers. You look over on the other side, UNLV is going to have some problems with this Boise State offense. I don't think they're going to have to throw it much. Madsen, the quarterback, is injured. He's out, so it's going to be green, period. Let's look at the last 4 weeks. Let's look at this. And UNLV would be favored by 5.03 based on the last 4 weeks. They are number 30 in PPA margin. Boise State is number 25. UNLV is number 15 in offensive PPA, predicted points added per drive, while Boise State on defense is number 56. On the other side, though, Boise State, number 31 in offensive PPA per drive, and UNLV is number 91 on defense. So both of these teams can take advantage of the other one's defense. I imagine you will probably get an over here because I don't know that either one of these teams can stop the other one. UNLV better in the 5 factors over the past 4 weeks, excuse me. I like UNLV here. They're at home. They're better in the turnover department. They're not as good in penalties per game. There's a lot of stuff that could point towards either one of these teams. A home field advantage, I think UNLV is going to have a lot of fans there. I think they're going to be fired up for this one. My score there, my projected total is way off. I don't expect there to be 39 points in this game. I think it's going to be way, way up. But the spread of UNLV by 5, yeah, I could see that. I could absolutely see that. Give me UNLV plus the 2.5. I think they win the game outright. So I like UNLV here at home. Let me tell you right quick, TicketSmarter. Oh, yeah. You want to buy tickets, whether it's to concerts or events, plays and whatever else. All this kind of stuff's going on around Christmas time. You want a way to save money, and I get that. I've used this myself. I know what I'm doing. Go to TicketSmarter.com, or you can use the TicketSmarter app. That's the smartest way to do it. But we got promo codes. Whether you're going to see Trans-Siberian Orchestra or the Nutcracker Ballet, or you're trying to get into some of these big-time conference championship games or the playoff games or whatever else, right? The Alabama-Georgia game is, it's like $500 ticket to get into. Any little bit that you can save getting into these events, you want to do that. And the way you do that is go to TicketSmarter.com and you use the promo code WCE10 or WCE20. WCE10 is going to get you $10 off an order of $100 or more. So if you're just going to some, if you're in Memphis and you're wanting to go see the Grizzlies play and the tickets aren't that expensive, but two of them together probably going to cost about $100, well, you can save $10 by using WCE10. Or if you want to go see Alabama and Georgia this weekend, yeah, Mercedes-Benz Stadium, $500 a ticket. You're looking at $1,000 for two people. You can save $20. WCE20. It's going to get you $20 off an order of $300 or more. Go to TicketSmarter.com and make sure that you get in the game or get into the event. It's going to help you out. And here's the best part. That's not a one-time code. You can use it anytime you're trying to buy tickets for any event. So use it as much as you want to. Go ahead and knock it out. Think smarter, ticket smarter. All right. Speaking of Georgia and Alabama, the SEC championship game is at 4 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Central Time, God's time zone, on CBS. It's in Atlanta. It's at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. And Georgia is a 6.5-point favorite right now. Well, that's at FanDuel. Caesars got it 5.5 in favor of Georgia. But regardless, there's ways that you can play this, a couple of different ways. So let's take a look. Let's take a look at the numbers. Georgia by 6.66. That's the number of the beast. What are we doing here? Just based on full season stats, right? Georgia 6.66. Okay. Alabama, number 16 in PPA margin. Georgia is number 5. Alabama, number 31 in strength of schedule. Georgia, number 59. Offensive success rate, Alabama, number 41. Obviously, that still includes, these are full season stats, it still includes early in the season before they really picked up steam. My power rating would have Georgia by a little over 3 points, which is where this spread opened, at 3.5, I believe it was. And, you dive down, you look at this defense. This Alabama defense is awesome. Number 65 PPA per rush, though, so that's not good. They're not great at stopping explosive runs. Hey, look, last week against Auburn, and Jaden Daniels absolutely tore him up. So those kind of games will skew your numbers in a big, big way. Georgia, much more pro-style running game. Number 9 PPA per rush. They only run it about 49% of the time. That's because Carson Beck has been awesome. They are number 9 in PPA per pass, etc. These full season numbers don't matter as much to me as these, right? This is the past 4 weeks. And it would have Alabama favored by 6.18. Alabama number 7 in PPA margin over the past month. Georgia number 15. Now, the quality of opponents is different here because Alabama has played LSU, Auburn on the road, at Kentucky, and they've played UT Chattanooga. Georgia, on the other hand, has played Ole Miss at home, Missouri at home, Tennessee on the road, and they played at Georgia Tech last week. And Georgia Tech, certainly better than UT Chattanooga, we would think, but this is the same Georgia Tech team that lost at home to Bowling Green, so it is what it is. Georgia was not worried about that game. They didn't play Brock Bowers. They didn't play Ladd McConkey. Those guys dealing with ailments, it is what it is, right? So in this game, Jace McClellan, the starting running back for Alabama, looks like he will not be going, but it is not like they don't have options. They got dudes. So we continue to look at this. Alabama is number 1 in points per game margin over the past 4 weeks. Georgia is number 5. The 5 factors rank plus talent. Alabama is number 1. Georgia is number 3. I legitimately think that these are 2 of the best 3 teams in the country. If Alabama gets into the playoff, I think it will either be them or Michigan that wins the title. If Georgia gets in, I think it will be them or Michigan that wins the title. So effectively, this is a playoff game, right? I mean, that's what this is. So I look at these numbers, and Georgia, not good at defending the run. They're number 124 in PPA per rush. They are number 124 in offensive line yards allowed, number 107 in stuff rate. They're number 104 in standard downs PPA. If Alabama can stay ahead of the chains, Jalen Milroe will have a day. He will absolutely have a day. They are not good at standard down rate right now. They've not been able to get teams off the field. Now, if you get into a passing situation, yeah, that's going to be a problem. The issue is Alabama in the past month, only 25% of their plays have been passing downs. That's pretty wild. That's pretty wild. On the other side, Georgia, kind of the same thing. Number 19 in standard downs PPA. Alabama, number 107. But you start looking at standard down success. Alabama's number 95. Georgia is number 5. Alabama 68% on defense of their plays have been standard downs. So, but they're good on passing downs as well, right? Bama number 8 in passing downs PPA. Georgia is number 4. Alabama number 6 in passing down success rate over the past month. Georgia is number 5 on offense. This thing is going to be tight. The fact that Georgia is favored by 6.5 is crazy to me. I'm taking Bama plus 6.5. Alabama is undefeated in Atlanta since the 2008 season. They are 16-0. That includes 7 wins over top 5 teams. And hey, I mean, they beat Georgia the last time they were in Atlanta. The last however many times they've been in Atlanta. This is still a team that they got to get over. And I think Alabama's got a game plan to be able to attack that Georgia defense. The question will be whether or not Alabama can get after the quarterback, right? And I think they can. You know, Braswell and Dallas Turner, I think them rushing Carson Beck is like 75% completion percentage when he's not rushed. But, man, when he's under pressure, his completion percentage drops to like 50%. So, can you get a turnover? Can you get a couple of things here? Georgia, number 65 in turnover margin. They are number 26 in giveaways per game. Yeah, you can get Carson Beck to turn the ball over. So, I'm going to roll Alabama plus the 6.5 here. I feel good about the Tide in Atlanta. I feel really, really good about them. All right, we got to go fast over these last ones. The AAC Championship. SMU heads to New Orleans to take on the Tulane Green Wave. Tulane is a 3.5-point favorite. This was 3 p.m. Central Time, God's time zone on ABC. And we'll pull up the numbers. We'll take a look at these things right quick. There we go. SMU by 6.08. When you look at full season stats, when you look at power ratings, SMU by 3.3. All of this includes Preston Stone, the quarterback for SMU, who went out with a broken fibula, or tibia, one or the other. Tibia. No, fibula. It's the fibula. Either way, he got a broke leg. We'll say that. Got hurt last week, not going to play. The redshirt freshman, Kevin Jennings, is the guy. He is going to be the starter for SMU this week. I am certain that Rhett Lashley is going to have some kind of a game plan for him. But that's not the side of the ball that I'm super concerned with, right? Because I think that, well, maybe I am. Because SMU, if Preston Stone was in the game, and I don't think that he's like super elite by any stretch of the imagination, but SMU was number 8 in PPA per pass this year, right? Preston Stone was doing some good things. Passing success rate, number 48 on the season. And let's screw it and go on and look at the last 4 weeks. It would have SMU by 3.23, number 6 in PPA per pass, but they weren't passing it all that much even then. Number 24 in passing success rate. This Tulane defense has woken up when they needed to. And that's what I'm scared of with Tulane is I know that this team, after last year, they realized, hey, we don't have to play up to the level of competition. We can rotate out a bunch of guys. We can build a bunch of depth. And we don't have to look great against Tulsa and East Carolina and whoever else. We just have to get the win. In this situation, SMU's been blowing teams out, so obviously they look a little bit better. I think Tulane obviously has the better quarterback with Michael Pratt. I don't think they're very good at running the ball, obviously, and I don't think you're going to be able to run it on this SMU defense. I'm going to take Tulane minus the 3.5 here. I feel good about Willie Fritz. I think they've got the coaching advantage here. I think Tulane's going to win the AAC again. I think they're going to go to the New Year's Six again. This is a good program. They got good players, good depth, significantly more talent than SMU. which is wild to think about. But they've done a good job of developing their guys. So, yes, give me Tulane minus 3.5. All right, the Sun Belt Championship is up for grabs. App State going down to Troy. 3 p.m. Central Time on ESPN, and Troy is a 5.5-point home favorite here. And, of course, we got to pull up the numbers. We got to see what we're looking at. Full season would have Troy by 7.5. Power rating would have Troy by 5.93. Yeah. PPA margin, Troy is number 18. Their defense is outstanding. They are number 7 in defensive predicted points added per drive. App State, number 44 PPA margin. Most of that has been their offense. Number 24 offensive PPA per drive. They're number 78 defensive PPA per drive. Defense can't stop the run. The offense, though, I mean, they are throwing the ball all over the place. They look great, but they're not great at running it, right? Number 87 PPA per rush. Well, Troy is number 11. Again, these numbers aren't the ones that really matter. Let's look at the last 4 weeks. And in the last 4 weeks, Troy would be favored by 4.39. So somewhere like 23 to 18 or whatever it may be. The PPA margin, obviously different. App State is number 13 in PPA margin. Troy is number 20. And that's because Troy's offense has not been super clicking, right? And App State's defense, really good against the run over the past 4 weeks, but they have played some teams that are not known for running the ball. We'll say that. Teams have only been running on them 41% of the time. So teams have been throwing the ball over 56% of the time against App State. So Troy, on the other side, the thing that App State does the best is they throw the football. They're number 19 PPA per pass over the past 4 weeks. Troy's defense is number 18, and teams are throwing the ball 60% of the time on Troy, and that's because Troy has the lead a lot, right? And you could say the same thing for App State. I don't think App is going to be able to move the ball on Troy. That's where I'm getting at. Troy better in the 5 factors over the past 4 weeks and over the full season. Troy better at second half point margin. They're better at first half point margin. Turnover margin, Troy better as far as giveaways per game. Penalties per game, that's on App State's side. There's a lot of things that could go App's way. But, man, I feel really good about Troy at home. John Sumrall, I mean, this defense is good. It's really good. The last 4 weeks wouldn't have it, but at 5.5, I'm riding Troy. Give me the Trojans minus the 5.5. I think John Sumrall knows what he's doing here, and I don't really trust this App State team. I know that they've won 4 games in a row and they've looked fantastic. They finally figured it out. But going on the road is a different spot against this defense. I feel good about Troy. So give me the Trojans. All right. We move to the Big Ten. The Big Ten title game. Oh, yes. Michigan against Iowa. This one's in Indianapolis in the Dome, so no weather. 7 p.m. Central Time on Fox. Michigan, right now the number has come down a little bit. 21.5-point favorites. And over the full season, my numbers would have Michigan by 26.5. Okay. Power rating would have Michigan by 22.35. So right on the 22.5, basically. Strength of record, Iowa, I mean, they've won 10 games. I don't know how they've won 10 games. They are literally dead last in offensive predicted points added per drive. Number 133. But they are also number 1 in defense. They don't allow a lot of predicted points added. They are really good on defense. They are really, really terrible on offense. Michigan is really good on defense and on offense. Michigan number 12 in offensive PPA per drive. They're number 2 in defensive PPA per drive. So if you thought that Iowa was going to have any kind of success, it ain't going to happen against Michigan. It does not look like. But, again, we look at this, we see the numbers, we see how high this spread is. The total, I think, is only like 35. It may have even gone below that. It's 30. Yeah, I see a 34.5 and a 35.5. So you can get either side of a key number there. Turnover margin, Iowa is not as good, and they're number 86 in takeaways per game. So that's 1.25. But, they did get a big win last week. They did what they were supposed to do with it. Let's look at the last 4 weeks, though, and this is what will be surprising to you. Last 4 weeks, my numbers would have Michigan by 7.7. Thank God for the cough button. The defense is number 72, PPA per drive, PPA per pass over the past 4 weeks for Michigan. Now, granted, they've played Penn State and Ohio State, and they played at Maryland as a sandwich game, so that's a bit of a rough spot. The defense is really good against the run, but it's not like Iowa can really run the ball. They do run it a lot. They're just not good at it. They're not explosive. Number 128 over the past 4 weeks. Well, Michigan is number 14 in rushing explosiveness allowed. You move to the other side, Michigan's offense has not been as good, but again, they've played Penn State's defense and Ohio State's defense in the past 4 weeks. Yeah, that's kind of tough. You look at the 5 factors plus talent, you're looking at number 7 in Michigan over the past 4 weeks. Iowa is number 17. This is interesting, right? Do the full season numbers matter more, or do the last 4 weeks matter more? Michigan hasn't trended in the best spot, but we know that they are significantly better, and we don't trust Iowa's offense, which has actually gotten better from the full season through the last 4 weeks because they're number 123 in offensive PPA per drive over the past 4 weeks. I look at this, and I'm going to guess because Jim Harbaugh is coming back this week. I think that they're going to be amped up. I think they're going to be fired up for this one. I think J.J. McCarthy is going to have a little bit of success against that Iowa defense. We saw this 2 years ago, right? It was 42-3 in this game, Michigan. I don't know that it's going to be 42-3, but could it be 24-0? Yes, 100%. It could be 27-3, something along those lines. I will take Michigan minus the 21.5. I think Jim Harbaugh is going to want to cover when he comes back. I think he wants to prove a point, and when Tony Petitti has to hand him that trophy, I think he's going to have a good laugh about that. That's what I think. So Michigan minus 21.5 there. All right, we got one more. Let's go on and knock this out. The ACC title game. Louisville and Florida State in Charlotte, 7 p.m. Central Time on ABC. Florida State is a 2.5-point favorite. And those aren't the right numbers, are they? There we go. Full season numbers would have Florida State by 7.72. Now, injuries are not accounted for in this, obviously. Jordan Travis is not going to be playing. So the PPA per pass here, number 31 for Florida State, yeah, that's probably not great. It's not going to be the same here because Tate Rodemaker could not make plays on Florida's defense last week. You scroll down, you start to look. This Louisville offense, not great running the ball, but they can do a few things. Again, they're not great. PPA per rush, number 54 to number 41 for Florida State's defense. Louisville, number 24 PPA per pass. Florida State's defense is number 4. That's full game, or full season, excuse me. Let's look at the last 4 weeks. We'll pull it up on the bigger screen. Last 4 weeks has got Florida State by 5.72. Now, again, 2 games with Jordan Travis, basically 2 without. Florida State cannot run the ball. Florida State against Florida was able to have success. Now, they only had 3.9 yards per play, but their success in that game was off broken tackles and missed assignments. Louisville's defense, I don't believe, is going to do that. Now, they haven't looked as good in the past 4 weeks, right? They gave up 31 to Miami, gave up 24 to Virginia. Kentucky went for 38 on them. But, last week, the loss to Kentucky, 3 turnovers, 2 of them inside their own 40-yard line, kick return touchdown, a broken run late in the game. I mean, it was, cavalcade of mistakes. Jeff Brom himself called it ridiculous like 4 or 5 times. And it was ridiculous. But I think that Jeff Brom is going to be fired up in this situation. I think his defense is going to be super aggressive. Havoc created, that's something to pay attention to. Louisville is number 41 in havoc created over the past 4 weeks. Florida State's offense is number 100. That's right. Yes, number 100 in the country in havoc allowed. That's not good. That's really not good. So, I mean, you start to look at these, and the Florida State defense is really good, but they also are number 105 in explosiveness allowed. I mean, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Look at the 5 factors rank, 5 factors plus talent. Florida State number 4, and of course, Louisville is number 9. I expect big plays on offense from Louisville. Jeff Brom has a fantastic record against top 10 teams. He always gets his team up for these. Yeah, I'm going to take Louisville. Give me the Cardinals plus the 2.5. I think they win the game outright. I don't believe this Florida State team is the same team without Tate Rodemaker. I think he's good. He's serviceable. But you're going up against Jeff Brom in a championship game, and you know he's going to have stuff drawn up. You know that his defense is going to be aggressive coming after the quarterback. Tate ain't great against, pass rush. And Louisville is going to be able to get home some. So yes, give me Louisville plus 2.5 on that. Don't forget, like the video, subscribe to the channel. You guys know what to do. Share it out, tell your friends about it, all that good stuff. And let's go ahead and do our recap. We're taking Liberty minus 10.5, Washington plus 9.5, Oklahoma State plus 15.5, Miami of Ohio plus 7.5, UNLV plus 2.5. Then we move to the back 5. Alabama plus 6.5, Tulane minus 3.5, Troy minus 5.5, Michigan minus 21.5, and Louisville plus 2.5. 10 conference title games. It's going to be a fantastic weekend. Could not be more excited to be watching these games this weekend. We're going to be here all through bowl season, all through. Look, I cover college football all year round. So if you were just now finding me, welcome to the party. Hit the subscribe button. Hit that like button. Again, tell your friends about the show. If you can't get to YouTube, that's okay. We've got the podcast version available. So go ahead and subscribe to the pod as well. Spotify, Apple, whatever, right? Go ahead and knock that out. So with that said, we're going to get out of here. Make sure and subscribe to the BetUS College Football Show. Make sure and check out TicketSmarter. That's right, TicketSmarter.com. Use the promo codes WCE10 or WCE20 to save you some money. And that is going to do it for today. I appreciate everybody that joined in on the show, everybody that worked on putting this thing together. That'd be me. And with that said, let's get out of here. Take care of yourself. Take care of each other. God bless college football. And hopefully, all of your tickets cash this week.
Thanks for listening to Winning Cures Everything. Make sure and follow me on Twitter @GaryWCE. If you want to toss in a question, you can email me, Gary@winningcureseverything.com. Make sure and hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you next time.